thing.
However, the same person, when he was in the Ministry of Agriculture, there was probably one of the biggest agriculture scandals that there was when he sat at the helm of that ministry. It's the same individual who sat before the ICC with, questions about what had happened. Shouldn't those have been the red flags?
Yes. And in all fairness, one thing that Kenyans don't know is how William Ruto deals with creating his movement or his people or the followers. For instance, we used to meet every week as the communications team. And we used to meet with him every week. And remember, that time he was a deputy president. And every week, he would give us audience to ask him all these questions. Because remember, it was not only that. There was also the guy who died from Harambee House Annex, the security guy. So all these things were coming in the news and all these things were being revived. And one of the things that William Ruto is smart about is he would meet you and he would give you the opportunity to ask him these questions. And so, you'd say, okay, in the newspapers today, we are now dealing with this. We would like to understand what happened as your team before we start defending or supporting what. And in all fairness, we would always leave that boardroom convinced.
Inspired.
Okay. And out ready to defend because our candidate is being accused. And he would give extensive reasons believable reasons as to what is happening, why it's happening. And the difference between, at that time, working for, and I know this because I had friends who are on the other side of the campaign. The difference was that on the other side of the campaign, you would never be able to ask the candidate anything. And so it became difficult to defend the candidate.
Okay.
And the candidate put up you can't criticize me kind of campaign. So you would find that we ended up, it's as I keep saying, it's like a cult. It's like a cult. Sometimes you come out of it and you're like, what was happening? So, but there was always this efforts to cover up the red flags. And the efforts seemed sincere. Because, for instance, being given audience at that time with a deputy president, the room full of critics in communications department, shooting questions as to what, what's happening. And then the candidate would answer and give. And he'd come prepared, even with facts of, this is what, and you need to look at the research on this and that. And then, as I said, he's a pretty smart conman.
Okay.
Yeah.
But and I guess to an extent, even with that inspiration and validation, you helped him to perpetuate that persona.
Yes, I did.
Whereby the red flags would not need to be looked at. But
and I always say, being my first rodeo, being my first time in that space, I'm allowed. I